So with that, let us start tonight's Woodstock Museum show live and local right here in the studios of WIOF-LP Woodstock 104, 104.1 FM. From the studios of WIOF-LP Woodstock 104, 104.1 FM, this is the Woodstock Museum show.
I came upon a child of God. He was walking along the road. When I asked him, where are you going? Listen to me.
And on this program we have for you, live in the studio here, local Woodstock aromacologist Joan Apter of Full Spectrum Wellness with Essential Oils. And you're going to learn how essential oils have been used for thousands of years, pre-Egyptian times, for physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual balance. And you will be amazed at the immediate profound effects of therapeutic essential oils. Essential oils are the steam distilled lifeblood of the plants. As they penetrate the skin and enter the bloodstream, they bring their oxygenating, antiviral, antibacterial properties into your system within seconds. Extremely potent plant medicines, 1 drop of peppermint essential oil is equal in value to 28 cups of herbal peppermint tea. 1 drop of lemon essential oil is equal to 1 pound of lemon rind, which is where they get the oils from. Joan will be going over how to use essential oils for common first aid challenges, enhancing immune function, uplifting mood and emotion, relieving stress and pain, purifying home, school, and work environment, and more. And in this program, there will be time to address your personal wellness concerns as well and ask questions. When we open up the line for questions, then we'll give you the number then, and most of you know what it is if you've been listening to the station for a while. Of course, it's area code 845-679-9104, 679-9104. Aromacologist Joan Apter has been in 26 years of training in the use and application of essential oils, and her aromatherapy massage menu includes raindrop technique, neuroauricular technique, or NAT, emotional release raindrop, and more. Joan has advanced training in the medicinal applications of essential oils from Ege University in Izmir, Turkey, and holds an international certificate of study from the Pacific Institute of Aromatherapy. She is a spa consultant, educator, and an instructor of the raindrop technique, emotional raindrop, and NAT massage technique. Joan offers the full Young Living essential oil product line. Joan is certified to offer the Prepare for Surgery, Heal Faster workshop. She lives in Woodstock, New York. Contact Joan at Joan Apter, that's JoanApter, at earthlink.net. Also, apteraromatherapy.com. And those are all lowercase and all one word. And Joan Apter, welcome to Woodstock 104 and the Woodstock Museum show.
Thank you. Last time I was on, Shelley and Nathan were here in the studio with us. And it was interesting that you played a replay of that show when I was on. I don't know, how was that, years ago?
I think it was 2018.
Okay, 2018.
Yeah.
And I got so many comments the next day. Oh, that was a great show you were on, Joan. I was like, what show was I on? And then they said, oh, it was on 104.1. I said, oh, it's probably a replay. But it got good reviews the next day, so thank you for replaying that.
Oh, well, I thank everybody for giving us good reviews, too.
Yeah, very good reviews. And you have a very loyal audience, and I'm one of them. What would we do without progressive radio in Woodstock? We would be bereft. I would be.
Thank you.
Yes. So, gosh, I'm excited about the opportunity to have a call-in show because I just love interacting with questions when people get down to the nitty-gritty of what they're interested in. But I'm going to give just a little short overview of the subject because there's so much need for education about plant medicines these days because, honestly, the powers that be are after it and want to do everything possible to keep this kind of education out of the hands of the people. And this is the people's medicine, always has been since the beginning of human history. We don't know when to trace back when people, of course, herbs were the first plant medicine. People collecting herbs, and who knows how the inspiration came to the human beings to start understanding. It was probably all intuition and all channeling of, this plant's going to be good for this. Or maybe it was that we had the ability to communicate with the plants and they could communicate to us what they would be good for. Or maybe it was because of the shape of the thing. Oh, the walnut looks like the brain, so maybe this will be good for me to eat for my brain. Whatever. We amassed a huge encyclopedia of knowledge, we human beings, about how to address what I'm calling tonight full spectrum wellness. And that goes with physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, because I think you'll notice in the history of early healing records is that there was an understanding that the first thing you have to address in healing, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, whatever that means to you, just translate spiritual to whatever it means to you. There was an understanding that we have to address the emotional balance first. If there's something within us that's telling us a story, if our mind is telling us a story that we're not good enough or whatever it is, we all have our own song and dances. We all have our own introspection to do about what is it that we can clear, release, and let go so that we can have more access to our human potential. And that's one of the great aspects of essential oils that blows my mind is that, and this was Dr. Daniel Penuel. You got to write down his name. Dr. Daniel, Penoel, and Google. He only has one book that's been translated into English. He's a great French aromatherapist. Great historic aromatherapist. Many, many books in French. And I was fortunate enough to be in the room when he was delivering a lecture many years ago. And I'll never forget this one thing he said. Never. He said, essential oils are the greatest enhancer of human intention. Now just let that one sink in. Essential oils are the greatest enhancer of human intention. So, we need a little help to keep our goals clear and to keep our intentions clear of what we want to walk into called our life. What do we want to create called our life? What do we see, lurking in the corners that maybe need to open up the windows and let it go? And essential oils, because why? It's not just that essential oils are compounds, chemical compounds, which they are, like peppermint, has the compound menthol, and it's good for respiratory, and it's good for soothing pain, and it's good for digestive. All of that is the compounds, the biological aspect of what are these plants in the form of essential oils. But let's not forget that essential oils are also classified as energy medicines. Same like Reiki, same like homeopathy. These are tools, you can call them essential oils, that by their own frequency, which is measured, there's an electromagnetic frequency that I think it was in Weber University in the 80s. Everybody was sending their stuff to the electromagnetic frequency monitor that was invented to see what the frequency of this was. Hannah Kroger, famous herbalist, sent this experiment into the new electromagnetic frequency, a plate of food that she had prayed over. And if you don't know Hannah Kroger, she's a very famous herbalist, healer, kind of like a Rudolf Steiner kind of a character. So one plate she sent that she had prayed over, and one plate that she had not prayed over. And she asked Dr. Tano, who was the developer of this machine, to test the frequency. And of course, we know what the answer is. Guess which frequency was higher? The one that she prayed over. But so everybody was sending everything to get, and Dr. Young, who's the Renaissance man behind the oils that I use, sent all of his oils in. Oh, sorry, I'm pounding. I do get carried away. To be measured. And all of these essential oils have a frequency. The frequency which is the highest measure, and Dr. Tano said that nothing that had been previously measured could touch the frequency of the essential oil of rose. The highest frequency essential oil, 340 megahertz. And we human beings in a healthy zone are something like 52 to 72. And here comes rose at 340. So that's why it's said that depression cannot live in the presence of rose, not because of its compounds, right? Its biology, its chemistry, but because of its electromagnetic frequency, which interacts with our electromagnetic frequency. And okay, maybe you're not going to reach 340, but wherever you are in the frequency of depression or sadness or loss of hope, you are going to be lifted for sure in the presence of that frequency. No, I'm not saying you're going to go to 340. I don't know if I've ever gotten to 340, but hey, let's go. After that, we're in the great beyond. So I just wanted to make that point that essential oils are also classified as energy medicine. And we came upon this topic because we were talking about the ancients and how they started studying herbal approaches to wellness. And we think that there's kind of a bit of bickering between, but discussion between the Chinese and the Egyptians who developed the art of distillation first. But we think it was the Egyptians. And we're talking like 4,000 years ago. They developed what is called a distillery, a distiller, where you put the plant material in and you have water and heat, which evoke the essential oils out of the cells of whatever the plant material, like for instance, some of the essential oils are in the roots of a plant, like vetiver. Some of the essential oils are in the flowering part of a plant, like lavender. Some of the essential oils are secreted in the sap of a tree, like frankincense. And so wherever that essential oil, which means the life force of the plant, essential oil is what is circulating in the plant, much like our blood, doing much as the same function as our blood, delivering nutrients, defending itself against attacks or invaders, first thing to clean itself when cut or wounded. It's called essential oil, the lifeblood of the plant. And how to evoke that out of the roots, out of the flowers, out of the stems, out of the twigs, out of the wherever the essential oil is, like look at all the pine trees. Their oil is in the needles. So you have to take all this plant material, lots and lots of plant material, put it in the distillery to evoke out of that plant material that precious essential oil. You know, it takes 400 pounds of lavender flowers to make 1 pound of the essential oil of lavender, which is like a cup. You know, so the art and the skill of true distillation, not where you put some chemicals in and you try to get a high yield at a short time and there's no real thought to quality. You have to, as a consumer, you have to be very careful if you want to use essential oils for what their purpose can be. You have to be very careful about sourcing your essential oils where you feel confident the purity is there, where it has not been adulterated, where it has not been extended, because in this field, just like supplements, just like everything, go into the health food store, you think, oh, everything's clean products in here. Not at all. Tom's toothpaste and look at the ingredients. You're brushing your teeth with a toxic product that says, if swallowed, if a child swallows it, contact poison control. And this is your health food store filled with toxic products. Same thing with essential oils. You go to the health food store, oh, a lavender for $7, great deal. You don't know that probably 90% of that lavender is lavandin, which extends the true lavender, so you can get a price point to $7. You cannot have a 15 ml bottle of true lavender for $7. It's impossible. So what is it extended with? Lavandin is called hybrid lavender. And hybrid lavender is great. It's one of the good antiseptic essential oils. It's used in cleaning formulas and so on. It's great. Only problem is when you hear that lavender is the best thing for burns, right? This is Lavandula officinalis, the what you call the true lavender. And hybrid is a completely different species, and it has camphor in it, whereas Lavandula officinalis doesn't have camphor in it. What does camphor do if you have a burn? It makes the burn worse. So the consumer has to be very, very careful in this topic of sourcing your essential oils. I always say, find a company that can give you the gas chromatographs, which are the testing in independent labs. It's a very complicated piece of equipment that shatters the molecules of the essential oils and thereby can measure if there's any kind of alteration or adulteration in that oil. It's called a gas chromatograph or a mass spectrometer, MS. You don't have to know this. It's not important. But just to ask your company. The company I use, it has a number on each label. You can call the company and say, I have batch 43210, and I'd like to see if I could get a gas chromatograph of that particular batch, not a batch from 5 years ago. And not from, their own labs. The company I use has their own labs out the wazoo, and they test everything, but they always send to independent labs as well, because that's the way of the world. You gotta, you can have your own seed to seal process and make sure everything is completely, perfectly collected. Well, first of all, planted, the seed. How is it planted? How is it grown? What's the soil? Is it near environmental toxins? Has it been organic soil for the requisite number of years? How is it harvested? There's something called bricks where you have to know exactly, you test the crop for the BRIX, bricks, which is the sugar content of the plant, and you don't harvest it until the bricks is at that optimum number, which the French have the encyclopedia of the optimum time for. The French have really created aromatherapy as a medicine. It was rediscovered by the French. It was lost after the Middle Ages. During the plague is the last time we've heard of essential oils being used, and they've been used since pre-Egyptian days for every manner of healing. And it's in all this, there's 122 mentions of essential oils in the New Testament, and there's tons of essential oil mentions in the Old Testament, the Jewish Bible, and there's essential oil history all the way through until it gets to the Middle Ages, when these grave robbers were stealing from the dead and dying during the time of the bubonic plague, and they themselves did not contract the plague. That was kind of the last story of how essential oils were being used, because when they were finally caught, the ruler said, well, what the heck is going on? How come you're not getting the bubonic plague and you're stealing from the dead and dying? They were perfumers, and they told the essential oils that they used on their thigh mitts and on their feet and this and that protected them. So that story came down to the people, and they made what they called in the text thieves' vinegar. And thieves' vinegar were these oils that the thieves had mentioned, and they mixed it with vinegar, and they would spray out the sick rooms to disinfect. And after that story, you kind of don't hear anything about essential oils until World War I. When all of a sudden somehow essential oils come back, and they're starting to be used in the battlefield because they don't have any antiseptics. They've run out of everything. So I think I don't know how exactly that happened. World War II, big time. That's when the French started getting very interested in the medicinal applications of essential oils again, because it had such great effect, again, on the battlefield. That's when people started using them. So it's really kind of recent history that we've rediscovered that, these particular forms of plant medicine can be really useful, as I mentioned before, full spectrum, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, for balance. We're not saying that, this is going to cure your cancer. This is going to heal your broken bone. No. But if you have a system that is out of balance, the genius of essential oil, the function of essential oil is to bring balance to those systems, to the structural system, to the respiratory system. All of the systems have essential oils that are specific for their balancing, for bringing them hormonal. Amazing when you start using the essential oils for your whole hormonal system. What starts happening to your mood and emotion, men and women. And for men, it's pretty critical. Men and women are losing their ability to procreate, to bear children. The men are having their problems. The women are having their problems. Hormones is a big consideration in the world today. And essential oils can help with that. But not, we're going to cure your this and we're going to cure your that. No. But these are wonderful little, as I say, greatest, enhancer of human intention and also for specific concerns. So here we are in 2020, and we go down, in the old days, we used to go walking down the mall and past stores like Bed Bath & Beyond, and they have essential oil this and they have essential oil that. All of these products totally toxic, creating rashes, creating allergies, because there's no essential oils in it. It's all synthesized stuff that comes from labs. Where does aspirin come from? Aspirin comes from wintergreen, from one compound that the guys in the lab realized, this reduces pain, this reduces inflammation, this is, and it's called methyl salicylate. I always trip on it. Methyl salicylate. Thank you. And so they took that one compound out of wintergreen, methyl salicylate, and they made aspirin out of it. And what do we know about aspirin? It's great. The only thing is, it has negative side effects, because that's what happens when you take the synergy. The essential oil of lavender has 400 unique individual compounds that make it up. It's chemistry. And you could go, I like the esters. That really helps me sleep. I'm going to make a sleep med with just esters in it. And you take it out and you synthesize it. It's not even the plant esters anymore. It's not even the plant aldehydes. These are the ones that are, help you sleep and relax your stress. That's why people love lavender. But you take one compound out, and now it has negative side effects. Whereas if you use the plant medicine with all the synergies of all the compounds together, you don't ever get negative side effects. And you never get, like if you take meds, you can get the negative effect of those meds stored in your fat tissue, stored in your liver, stored in organs, and brings even more dangerous side effects, whereas essential oils are not stored in your fatty tissue. They're not stored in any system. They find their receptor sites. If they're not needed, they just pass right out, through your breathing, through your blood, through whatever, within seconds of application. You put an essential oil on topically, it goes right through the fatty barrier. It's circulating in your lymph and your bloodstream within seconds of application, kind of like looking around. Where am I needed? Where am I needed? Where am I needed? That's called plant intelligence. That's one thing when you're using a plant medicine of any kind, certainly with essential oils. I have so much respect for plant intelligence. They know. You don't have to sit there and study with your books and this and that. Okay, I have a book. I brought it with me. It's a wonderful essential oils pocket reference, 8th edition. I use it all the time. I look up an oil and it says, oh, use it this way, use it that way. Here's the compounds in it, blah, blah, blah. But, okay, it says it's good for, let's say, helping me sleep. But it's not until I pick up that lavender and I smell it, I inhale it, and I get it deep into my olfactory. And then, well, this brings me to the topic of why olfactory is unique of all the senses. But it's not until I pick up that lavender and actually experience it for myself that I understand what are the properties and what are the uses of the essential oil. I'm not saying don't read, but better than reading is experiencing. So when people get oils, I always tell them, play with your oils. Pick up a different one every single day, inhale it. Read up a little bit about it. Oh, it's good for this and that. Put it on. Or don't read about it and just intuitively figure out where you want to put it on. But the most important thing is inhale it. Why? Now I can tell you about aromatherapy. It's so interesting because we have all these great senses, right? But our sense of smell is so unique. And what makes it so unique is that if you look at the olfactory bulb, you can Google a picture of the olfactory bulb and the brain, for instance. Google that. And the olfactory bulb is directly connected to the brain, and the part of the brain that is connected to is called the amygdala. Amygdala. Well, if you look up amygdala, that's the reptilian brain. That's the fight and flight brain. That's where we hold memory, mood, emotion, stress. So imagine you pick up that lavender, you're inhaling those compounds. Those compounds are going directly into the brain, and I'm not kidding you, within seconds, your mood and emotion starts getting totally mellowed out. Really, because of this sense of smell going right to the brain. It's amazing, and that's why it's called aromatherapy. Although there's lots of other ways to use oils. But using a diffuser, plugging into a cold air diffuser, and having the oils circulate in the air, being able to inhale them that way is wonderful. But, I like the good, remember we did this already with lavender?
Right.
You want to do it with one other one? Let's do it with lemon. Lemon is just such a thrill.
Sure.
It's a humble essential oil. It's collected from the rind. It doesn't go through a distillery. All the citrus oils are distilled by pressing the rind, the essential oils in the rind. Now, isn't that lovely?
Yeah.
Do you like that? It's very
yes.
fresh, isn't it? Lemon has so many uses when you look it up in the dictionary. It's crazy. But I like to drink it. It's one of the oils that the FDA has approved as a dietary supplement.
But you have to be careful, right? Because some manufacturers, they may extend it with something else.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's where we come back to, don't do anything I say tonight about ingesting an essential oil with an off-the-shelf oil. Never, 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 ever. Underline, exclamation point, don't do it. However, a medicinal grade essential oil that you've become very sure of the quality of it, the company I use has a whole line called Vitality. It has a white label, unlike the other labels, and those are all the essential oils that the FDA has tested and approved for ingestion. And so you can have on the label for dietary use. There's a lot of products that the FDA has approved that are plant. So not all of them, some people say, this is unscientific or whatever. No. There's so much studies available, and you can go to PubMed, P-U-B-M-E-D, PubMed.com, and you can type in, I'm just going to say, for instance, frankincense and cancer. Let's get wild here. I'm not saying frankincense cures cancer. I'm just saying, why don't you Google in PubMed and see the double-blind studies out the wazoo that come up. Go to PubMed and Google lavender and see the myriad double-blind studies that come up. It's been a long time now that essential oils have been studied in universities all over the world. So we have lots of that kind of background to say, yes, this is not airy-fairy, woo-woo stuff. This is real, and it's been real for thousands and thousands of years. And this is a wonderful time that we're living in because we're rediscovering all these ancient things. We've been rediscovering things since the 70s and even before, right? When all of a sudden these great healing modalities started appearing, and we started studying Chinese medicine, and we started studying Tibetan medicine, and we started, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we're blessed with this time that we're living in because it's like a confluence of so many different modalities, and each one augmenting the other. Oh, I can use these frequencies with acupuncture. So many acupuncturists are doing that. Oh, I can use this, so we begin to get inspired with all the different modalities that are coming back to light in the true sense, not the Bed Bath and Beyond, or go down the aisle in the supermarket where their cleaning products are, the laundry soap,
and the plug-ins.
I mean, this is so toxic. And that spray, I forget the name now. It's the advertisements are everywhere, and you
spray cleaner.
Well, it's like the plug-in company.
Oh yeah, like it could be. Well, it could be a number of it. For one, Glade comes to
not Glade, but it's the other one. But Glade is the same. But it's a particular one, and they showed someone taking this spray and spraying it on their dog bed. Well, the studies are there that this particular cleaner, this air freshener, or whatever it's supposed to be, is toxic to the animal's nervous system and cause paralysis in a couple of cases.
Wow.
So it's toxic chemicals. Folks, if there's one thing that I would recommend we all do, that show with the Japanese lady that was so popular because she helped everybody organize her home,
right.
Marie Kondo. And she became so popular because she could help you organize your home. Well, I can help you clean up your home from everything toxic above your shelf, above your sink, and everything toxic below your sink. And believe me, when you get rid of that stuff and you find the green alternatives, and I help people do that all the time, once you get those toxic chemicals off your skin, we use like 90 different, I think a woman in the morning uses up to 10 to 15 different products before she walks out the door. And if you look at those products, the makeup, the shampoo, the lotion, the deodorant, whatever, most people, I'm not saying all people, especially Woodstock people, because we have a lot of great fortune to be so well educated in natural living. But most people, I would say, really, if you want to turn your health around, drink more water, drink a lot more water, eat a healthful, real food diet, stay away from processed foods, stay away from the white sugar, white salt, white flour syndrome.
High fructose corn sweetener.
Yeah. Clean up your diet, and then clean up your toxic load in your environment. You can do it with a diffuser, because when you diffuse essential oils, they're like Pac-Man going around and digesting airborne virus, bacteria, fungus, mold. I put my diffuser on at least once a day with the Thieves formula, with another one called Purification, because, I want that ability. Not that people are coming in my house anymore, but I come in my house, and I've come from outside. But I want to make sure and clean up that. And then after that, I use my diffuser for other things like, I feel like a heavenly scent tonight. I want to just inhale maybe a pretty one called Peace and Calming, or maybe frankincense one day. You know what I mean? So I can play around with the diffuser, but the diffuser is one way to clean the toxicity from your environment, from your school. I have so many teachers that started using essential oils in the classroom, and they noticed, these were the old days before 6-foot separation and everything, but they noticed that syndrome that happens when all the kids get sick together, and all they were doing was using lemon essential oil to wipe down their desks because lemon is so great for digesting bacteria. Plus, it gives that really fresh, wonderful smell the kids love. Am I too far away from the...
No.
I'm leaning
Fine.
back. They found that it really helped with the absenteeism, not only for the kids, but for the teachers, too. And then when they started using a diffuser with the thieves, then things really changed. And hospitals that we've worked with, same thing. When they started using the diffuser, that's so important because you go into a hospital, you don't have MRSA, but you walk out with it. You don't have staph, but you walk out with it. And it's one of the most challenging places to go into is any kind of a nursing home or hospital or care center because the recycled air, like a plane. You're walking into so I arm myself with a flotilla of essential oil products if I have to journey into those realms. And I help people choose the oils that they might need to protect themselves in those kind of situations. God forbid you have to have a surgery, but I had to have my first surgery, it was like 3 years ago. That's why I'm now a Prepare for Surgery, Heal Faster facilitator, because I was so amazed. Peggy Huddleston wrote a book, Prepare for Surgery, Heal Faster. And I was approaching my first surgery. I had never had surgery in my life. I had avoided very serious surgeries that had come to me earlier with diagnoses and stepped away from the surgery and, everything fine. But in this particular situation, it was something I couldn't avoid. And so I prepared for it. And as I was preparing for it with choosing the essential oil sprays I wanted to make, what kind of wipes I wanted to take with me, what kind of foods I wanted to have with me, blah, blah, blah. I came across, a friend told me, Joan, have you read Prepare for Surgery, Heal Faster? And I said, oh, well, I think I even bought that book when I thought I was going to have, breast surgery, just to be interested about if I had to have surgery. I'm going to try to avoid it, but what if I have to have it? Might as well get the book. But I had never read it because I avoided surgery. So I picked up this book, and it goes through really visualizing your ideal outcome. It has a lot to do with, as we were talking about, cleaning up, moving away from fear, moving away from letting your mind mess you up, and getting instead into a space of intention. And of course, here we go. Essential oils really support your intention. So I was so amazed. Can I tell the story of my experience?
Sure.
I don't know what our time is, but...
Oh, we got time.
We're good? So I have to tell this story because it was so amazing. That's why I became I got trained, because this is transformational stuff. And when you mix it with essential oils, it's really wild. So here I am. And in Prepare for Surgery, Heal Faster, you have 4 healing statements that you tie to your surgery gown. And when you meet your anesthesiologist for the first time, well, I didn't meet my anesthesiologist until the second waiting room before surgery. Some people do. I never met him till that last moment. Then you ask him or her, do you know about healing statements for surgery? Would you be willing, while I'm under, to speak these 4 statements over me? Because studies have shown that I just told him in one sentence, like studies have shown you get a 35% greater response rate, less meds needed, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, oh, yeah, no problem. I'd be happy to do it. And he read them, like you will awaken clear-headed and you will feel these beautiful statements. And he looked him over. He said, oh, no, if that makes you feel better, I would be happy to do that. Turns out, he had this beautiful complexion. I said, Doctor, can I ask you, where are you from? The surgeon hadn't come in yet, so we could still have time to chat. And he said, I'm from Jordan. I said, Jordan, do you know that your country is the repository of frankincense, one of the most precious essential oils, heralded as more precious than gold and brought to the baby Jesus? And he looked at me all surprised. He said, no, I don't know anything about frankincense. I said, well, when you go home, Google frankincense and realize that that's a connection you have with your homeland. And so then the surgeon came in, and he had to tell me what he told me, and I listened. And then I said to him, have you heard of healing statements for surgery? And he said, oh, I think I remember a couple surgery somebody wanted, and I think I remember. And I said, do you have any problem with, Dr. So-and-so saying, I don't know, do you call anesthesiologist doctor? Maybe not.
I don't know.
Anyway, the anesthesiologist, he's fine with reading these 4 statements over me while I'm under. Is that okay with you? And he looked at them and he said, oh, if that makes you happy, that's fine with me, no problem. And I said to him, do you know that right now there are people praying for you? And he looked at me and he said, you mean praying for you? I said, no. They're praying that all your expertise, and I've chosen you because you have the expertise of this particular surgery, and all your knowledge will result in a very good result for Joan today. I looked him in the eye. He looked me in the eye. All of a sudden, it wasn't patient number 431 coming in. All of a sudden, there was a connection. And I turned to the anesthesiologist and I said the same thing. Do you know that there are people praying for you today? He said the same thing. He said, you mean praying for you? I said, no. I said that all your expertise and all your training will result in Joan waking up today. And he looked me in the eye, and I looked him in the eye, and it was amazing. All of a sudden, what I felt was like sacred surgery, And part of Prepare for Surgery, Heal Faster is creating a team of people that are really focused on your well-being during that time that you're going to be going into surgery, and I could feel it. I'm not kidding you. I could feel it. So anyway, I was so impressed with the whole experience. Oh, by the way, just a P.S. I woke up clear-headed. I wrote down all the instructions for my friends about which essential oils I wanted to put on me in case I was bleary. I wasn't bleary. I could do everything myself. I was hungry. That was one of the sentences about when I wake up, I'll be hungry, because usually everything's so messed up digestively you can't really get that going. You want to get your digestive going fast to clean. And so everything was great. And then I looked in my gown, and there was this piece of paper. And I pulled out the piece of paper, and it was the anesthesiologist. He said, thank you. I will look up frankincense when I get home. Isn't that sweet?
Yeah.
So it was a real beautiful experience. And I used so many essential oils. Everything went well. It was a beautiful experience. Should I continue with other ways to use essential oils besides inhaling them?
Well, one question I have, you mentioned Dr. Daniel
Penuel.
Penuel. How do you spell it?
P-E-N-O-E-L with a little accent circumflex or whatever it's called over it. Penuel. And he's marvelous, but he only has one book. I think it's called Home Health Care with Essential Oils. Purple cover. And I think you can still find it. I'm sure you can. And he's the one who said that one sentence that kind of knocked me right off my chair. I'll never forget it. And he also said another thing. He said, what is the first aromatic plant? Oops, I'm thumping again. What is the first aromatic plant on the face of the earth? What is the plant that has the most memory of any aromatic plant on the face of the earth? And sitting in the audience, I'm going, geez, I don't know. And he goes, the conifers, the evergreens.
Mm.
They are the ones, they grow on the top of the mountain. After that, there's nothing. And they are very deeply rooted, so they give you that strength and that security and that feeling of grounding. And they're also very close to the celestial energy, so they give you that feeling of spirituality, of opening, opening to higher power, you might say. And he said after that, you have other aromatic plants, but the conifers. And I love the evergreens. I probably diffuse the evergreens more than any other oil in my home. I just love them. And I think that's why there were tuberculosis clinics in the Adirondacks because of the inhalation of all those evergreen trees that you get up there.
Oh, yeah.
And they realized that this was a really good place to put the TB clinics, where people could sit out on the porch.
And they clean the air.
And just inhale, the beautiful eucalyptols and the beautiful different pinene and all the different compounds that come off those trees. And plus, it's a very spiritual frequency up there. Higher you go.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, maybe
we're not quite there. We're low down on the side of this mountain.
No.
But we do have a bunch of pine trees, most of which have volunteered all around the house.
Yes. I want to put something on you. This
planted.
is called Idaho balsam fir.
Why Idaho? I mean, Vermont has balsam fir that they used to make and sell.
Oh boy, when I go to the
incense.
Adirondacks, I buy those balsam fir pillows. Idaho balsam fir was distilled by Gary Young in his farm there, and he calls it the frankincense of North America. Inhale that deeply. Just get a rush. Do you like it?
Yeah. Not the same as, say, balsam fir that you get from, let's say, Vermont.
From Vermont.
Just like incense cedar or western red cedar is not the same as eastern red cedar.
Yes, but I love them all.
Oh yes.
And they're very high frequency. All of these. You remember we were talking about the evergreens, very deeply rooted. So let's say someone, yourself, might be too airy-fairy and not grounded enough. Well, the conifer oils of your choice, pine, spruce, whatever, Idaho balsam fir, Northern Lights black spruce. I'm going to give you this one next. Northern Lights black spruce, very, very powerful. They might be perfect for you because they'll give you that grounding energy that you need. But let's say you're too grounded and you don't have enough play, you don't have enough wave to you. You're more straight zigzag lines, up and down. And you want more wave, you want more relaxation, you want more feminine, you want more yin. The evergreens might be perfect for you too. They're great balancers of the yin and yang energy. So they might be the ones you want to choose for grounding or spirituality.
Very good.
Frankincense. Oh my goodness. Frankincense is such a beautiful essential oil. We know that it's mentioned in, the Jewish Bible. It's mentioned in the New Testament. It was the oil that was carried by the 3 wise men to the baby Jesus. Why? Because in those days, frankincense was more precious than gold. And there was a whole trade trail called the frankincense trail. From the known worlds of those days, all the way by camel to Petra, Jordan, where I don't know if you've seen that great cliff that's completely carved in Petra. It's quite famous. If you Google Petra, Jordan, you'll see this vault that's completely carved into a cliff. And that was the vault where the frankincense resin was held, and and the camel trains would come right up to that area, and the trading would begin, and then they would take the frankincense resin back to their known world, and they would, to their countries around that area, and they would distill it. And frankincense was for the priestly class, it was for the kings, it was not for the common people. It was way too expensive. And you'll notice in the beautiful story with Jesus where Mary breaks a alabaster vessel of spikenard on his feet and washes his feet with her hair. I don't know if you know that scene in the Bible of Jesus.
Yeah.
And spikenard, very expensive. These essential oils were not a joke. They were very expensive. And the disciples freaked out. They said, look, we could have fed the poor for a week with what she just, wasted, pouring out, breaking that vessel and pouring out. And Jesus said, hey, she's preparing me for burial. She's doing the right thing, because it was the culture to when you were preparing the dead for burial, you would wash their body with essential oils. The Egyptians learned mummification through dipping the gauze in essential oils that were good for protecting the skin and for keeping the skin. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? After 4,000 years, these mummies still had
antibacterial,
skin covering.
I guess maybe even antifungal.
Yeah. So they used that knowledge of essential oils in the mummification process.
Yeah.
Thank you. So that's what was happening in Jesus' time too, is that you would wash the body with essential oils. So I love that story. Spikenard was another really expensive oil.
Wow.
So frankincense, when they take it to the lab, all the quote-unquote holy anointing oils like frankincense, sandalwood, spikenard, oils that are in that category. Did I mention sandalwood?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's another good one. They have this particular compound called sesquiterpenes. And you don't have to know that, but just the guys in the lab noticed that they all had that one compound in common. So they started doing some research on sesquiterpenes and discovered that that particular compound has the ability to oxygenate the pineal pituitary, which is the third eye. So when you say that frankincense is good for prayer and meditation, opening up that plexus, whatever you want to call the third eye, pineal pituitary, the door of perception, as Huxley would call it, put it on your crown, opening up that plexus, inhale it, use it for prayer and meditation time. The people who practice yoga love to inhale it before the, quiet meditation time. It's a beautiful oil. It's also very healing for all manners of different owies that you could possibly get. There's a couple of oils that I would grab first in case of anything. One of them would be lavender. Lavender is called your Swiss Army knife of essential oils because it's really good for everything. I mean, I've used it from A to Z. One story coming back from an airplane, and you have to get into that shuttle to get to the parking, and someone was coming up the stairs of the shuttle and fell and really cut their leg badly. And so we called the driver called the ambulance, and I just went behind the person and I said, I have something that you might find helpful in helping to stop this bleeding a little bit because it's a little bit much, and it's called lavender essential oil. Would you want me to apply some of it? She said yes. So, seriously applied right up, because lavender is good for cleaning wounds too. So it's okay to apply it right on the wound. It's very good for cleaning wounds. And so I applied it, and then we waited, and it got a little less, not a lot. So I applied it again. We waited. It got a little less. I had time to apply it one more time before the ambulance came, and by the time the ambulance came, that big heavy blood flow had stopped. So I didn't know if it was going to work. I heard that it was good for that, but I never experienced it. But it was the only thing I had on hand, and it worked. One time in California, I was, there when this motorcyclist went down, and we didn't have any cell ability to call an ambulance, and so one guy got in his car and he said, I'll drive down the mountain and get an ambulance. And I just stayed with the guy, and I could see that his eyes were starting to dilate. And again, I said to him, I have something that might be very helpful for keeping your awareness here present so you don't, go, I didn't say go into coma, but you know what I mean. That's what I was thinking. And I just said to keep you present. And would you be interested in inhaling from a distance a little bit of lavender essential oil? And I'll keep it far from you, and you just inhale the fumes. And he said yes. So we did that, and I watched as his eyes started narrowing. Instead of the dilation, started narrowing, coming back. And when the ambulance finally did arrive, he was still conscious. We put him in the ambulance, and off he went. But I didn't know that was going to work. I just thought, we don't want him to go into coma, you know? Mm-hmm. And I know essential oils can do all kinds of things that I don't even know that they can do. But let's see if it'll help. Can't hurt. These essential oils, if they're pure essential oils, if they're unadulterated essential oils like the ones I use, I'm totally confident they can help people. Totally. If I see someone in the supermarket who's helping me check out and she says, oh, I have such a bad headache today, I say, well, I have something in my purse that might be helpful to you if you're interested. I could give you a little bit of peppermint and you could just rub it on your temples and inhale it a little bit. Would you be interested? Sometimes they say no, sometimes they say yes. You know, at least I offer because I know it can help. So how long have we been talking? Is it time to see if there's any questions? Oh my goodness, it's already an hour.
You know, almost, not quite. About 5 minutes shy of an hour.
Do you think there's any questions coming in or not yet?
There could be. And what we could do, we could give out the phone number.
Yeah, let's give out the phone number because questions would be
and
great.
I'll do an ID.
I can blab on forever. Let's have some questions.
And we'll listen to a thing of music that, since you said Northern Lights, what is it? Northern Lights?
Black spruce.
Black spruce. Well, we have white spruce out here and a couple of Norway spruce.
And I'll get the black spruce out so you can inhale it. It's really great. It's been bathed in the Northern Lights, so it's quite a special frequency.
Ah, well, our phone number, if you wish to call in with questions, and then after the song we'll get on with the question and answers, 679-9104, 679-9104. And you're listening to the Woodstock Museum Show with special guest here right in the studio live, Joan Apter, aromacologist, here at WIOF-LP, Woodstock 104, where you get progressive talk and more at the 104.1 spot on your FM tuner. And right now, this is a song called Northern Lights.
Out the bound, I turn to see the northern lights behind the wind. Horizons seem to beckon me, learn how to cry too young, so now I live to sing. The northern lights are in my mind, they guide me back to you. Horizons seem to beckon me, learn how to cry too young, so now I live to sing. I know it's hard away from you, traveling roads and passing through. It's not for money and it's not for fame, I just can't explain. Sometimes it's lonely, marking the space between the days. Early hours pass away, I sing to you of northern lights, I sing for you of northern nights. Past the future, here or there, shelter comes in words from you, so talk to me. I hear your voice, it comforts me. In morning dreams I take your hand, you walk with me. The northern lights are in my mind, they guide me back to you. Peace enfolds us still hide there, home again I look for you and find you there. Destination homeward now, take the easy way, bring me down, making my heart wait. Now I see, hard to be really free. I'm missing you near me, marking the space between the days. Early hours pass away, I sing to you of northern sing for you of northern nights. The northern lights are in my mind, they guide me back to you. The northern nights are in my eyes, they guide me back to you. The northern lights are in my mind, they guide me back to you. The northern lights are in my eyes, they guide me back to you. The northern lights are in my eyes, they guide me back to you. The northern lights are in my eyes, they guide me back to you. The northern lights are in my
And that's Renaissance from the mid-1970s with Northern Lights. And unfortunately, I didn't have time to get to get an LP with that on it. But this version is very good anyway, even though it's from a CD. The CD version of Tales of 1001 Nights, Volume 2, Northern Lights. And of course, great singer Annie Haslam and band Renaissance. And by the way, that song also reminds me, and we just had Northern Lights Black Spruce as well as a few other essential oils. That song also reminds me of Randy because, she and I did some broadcasting at somebody else's station, shortwave actually, up in northern Maine. And the time when we did it from the fall of 1998 to the spring of 1999, there was a lot of northern lights, and it covered half the sky, and it was really amazing. And I'm so glad that we experienced that. And thanks to Randy, without her, I wouldn't have experienced that. So this is Joan Apter, Aromacologist, here live in the studio for the Woodstock Museum show. And I don't know, maybe they got busy down there in Mexico. I was expecting Shelley Lipton and Nathan Koenig to call in and maybe remotely host. But that's all right. And our phone number here, if you want to ask Joan Apter any questions, 679-9104. 679-9104. And you can either ask the question on the air, or if you don't want to be on the air, you can ask the question off the air, and you'll receive the answer on the air. So 679-9104. And
Area code 845.
Yeah, and area code 845, which is the only area code, anyone hearing this is in that area code.
I know, but there might be some people that just came up for the weekend or something.
That's true. And if you don't call your own number here, then, and people have portable numbers today as well. And just now we experienced two oils. First, Northern Lights Black Spruce, and maybe if you could describe that, and then about the peppermint that we just, powerful peppermint.
Yeah, and be careful, don't get it in your eyes, okay? Because you have it on your hands.
Right.
Don't get it in your eyes. It's extremely powerful peppermint. I've smelled a lot of peppermints, but when I smelled this company's peppermint, I went flying across the room.
But I feel more clear with the peppermint, because I inhaled a bunch of dust today and working on things here, back where the wires live and nothing else does. And, so it roughs up your voice, even though you try to clean yourself. And it's like, now, still a little bit of roughness, but not like it was.
For your throat, too?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, we could put a little lavender over your throat if you like.
So maybe just describe briefly the Northern Lights. The Northern Lights Black Spruce.
Well, Northern Lights Black Spruce comes from a black spruce farm that Gary Young developed in northern British Columbia, way north. It's one of the coldest places in North America. And very challenging because the trees have to be harvested in the winter when the essential oil is the most optimum, and then carried to the distillery and chipped and distilled. It was very labor intensive. But the thing that was very interesting was that it is the land of the Northern Lights, the Aurora Borealis, and so that energy of the Aurora Borealis was bathing those black spruce trees. And Gary, when he introduced this oil, Northern Lights Black Spruce, he said, because of that frequency of the Northern Lights, this is a very special black spruce with a very high frequency. And we just inhaled that and enjoyed it very much. It's just really lovely.
Okay. And we have a caller on the air. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Hello? Yeah, hi, Joan. It's Philip Guerreri in Kingston.
I can't hear.
I was mesmerized. I had to go up to Hannaford's, and I had for the station on all the time because I don't get it in the house. And when I tuned in, you were talking about frankincense, and I had just missed where it was from. You would, and then you were mentioning about the accident with lavender.
Yes.
Yeah, phenomenal. I hope the show is repeated.
We
or
will.
That it was recorded and repeated.
Well, we usually rebroadcast, and then we will rebroadcast this program right away Sunday at 10 a.m. until noon.
Okay, I'll be listening.
So, did you get a chance to hear a little bit about frankincense?
Yeah. Oh, it was as I shouldn't say that because it was as I was getting out of the car. I had to run into Hannaford. I had to less than 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, it's a very special and sacred essential oil for a good reason. And I was talking about one of the reasons that it's considered a sacred oil is because of the compound in it called sesquiterpenes that oxygenates the pineal pituitary, otherwise known as the third eye.
Uh-huh.
So, it's no mistake that it's always been lauded since ancient days as a assistant to prayer and meditation.
Wow. Isn't that interesting?
Although it has lots of physical benefits as well, but it's always been famous for assisting in prayer and meditation. Yeah. It's beautiful. You'll love it.
That higher self that only organic foods with all the other assistance enables our body to get there. It's fascinating.
Yes, we need all the assistance we can get.
Yeah, that would be green commitment to the county USA.
Yeah.
There's enough organic farmers in the valley to make it an actuality.
Well, we're very fortunate in the Hudson Valley. We have a sustainable community here.
Yeah, it's really a global community. And you have me fascinated with all these oils.
Okay, well, great. I encourage you to email me at Joan Apter at earthlink.net, JOAN.
Yeah.
APTER, because if you want, I'll put you on I do Zoom classes and stuff, and I can put you on my list for classes.
I still haven't figured out how to connect with Zoom.
Oh, it's pretty easy. Don't let it intimidate you. Even I can do it, and I was surprised that that I could figure it out. So if I can figure it out, you can figure it out for sure.
I'll email you.
Okay, good.
Have an agreeable evening.
Thank
folks.
you. That's one of my passions, is to have an agreeable time in life.
See, I knew you would agree.
I agree.
Pass it forward.
Okay, thank you very much.
Enjoy, folks. Bye now.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
That was nice that someone called in.
Yes, and once again, our number is 679-9104. You can ask a question on the air or off the air. And, 679-9104. It's 845 area code, 679-9104.
And let me also mention that I do essential oil massage work. I have a screened-in porch tent that I put up every summer to have, outdoor dinners and stuff. And I looked at it because I wasn't accepting any massage clients due to COVID. I didn't want people to come in the house. And I decided to use my screened-in porch tent as a massage studio, and it's working beautifully. I have a fan in there if it gets too hot, and I set up the massage table, and I do these very special essential oil protocols, one of which is the raindrop technique. I don't know if anyone's heard of the raindrop technique. It's
Not
applying...
till now.
Not till now. Raindrops keep falling. No. It's 8 essential oils, each one addressing balance in a different system of the body. So it's called a full body tune-up. And it's done with a gentle massage technique, and then I also do regular massage with it. And basically addresses inflammation, addresses relaxing the central nervous system, addresses circulation, addresses just balance in every system of the body. It's a very important protocol for boosting the immune system, let's put it that way. And then the other one that I think is really neat is called NAT, neuroauricular technique, and that's very simple. That only takes about a half an hour, and it's working with the occiput. And the occiput, it's very interesting. That's that bony structure at the back of the brain, like where the neck ends and the skull begins. If you put your fingertips right now on that area where your neck ends and your skull begins, it's called the occiput. And if you start doing a massage with your fingertips on that area, you'll find probably a lot of sore spots and maybe some creaks and cracks. And what I like to do is put some essential oils on my fingertips, sometimes lavender, sometimes frankincense, whatever I feel like. Sometimes the blend called Valor, which is nicknamed chiropractor in a bottle. It really aligns your whole structure and it aligns your energetics. It's a beautiful balancer. And just massage that back brain, that occipital ridge. And that really helps relax yourself. So anyway, NAT is a very specific essential oil application of 5 different essential oils applied with different techniques on the occipital ridge and on the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is fascinating. If you want to Google VAGUS, vagus nerve, it goes like a hand down on the back from your neck, maybe a full hand length down. It happens to be almost like a whole nother spinal system where all your body systems are regulated. You know how the spine is considered like the central terminal of all your nerves coming into that spinal cord, which, is like the regulator of all your systems, all your, communications to all your systems is the spine. But turns out that there's like a second spine, and it's called the vagus nerve. And if you just apply oils and work on that small little area, it has such a great effect. Especially, it's been very interesting with post-traumatic stress syndrome. There was a whole bunch of soldiers coming back who were taught this particular technique, how to do it even for themselves. because there's a panic syndrome that's like a snake eating its tail, where it just never ends. It's a repetitive anxiety syndrome, I think it's called. And you just never get off it. And one thing the NAT can do is help to break that electrical synapse that just keeps turning, and that anxiety is never broken, and helps to release that connection and create a different neural pathway, which is awesome.
And that's NAT?
It's called NAT, which is neuroauricular technique. And that doesn't take a long time. I teach all these techniques. I teach the raindrop technique. I teach the NAT. I teach the emotional release raindrop. These are all things that I do on the table for people. But these are also things that I teach people how to do. And you don't have to be a massage therapist to learn how to do these, although if you are, then it'll give you a whole different something different for your menu of services, something unique for your menu of services, and start using the essential oils on people, on their spine, on their feet. It's amazing. You also do the raindrop technique on the bottoms of the feet, because once again you have a whole spine reflex from the big toe all the way down to the heel, which is your spine. And so just working on the spine of the feet, you're affecting every system. You're affecting every system like you would if you were working on the spine.
And can that be used in conjunction with reflexology?
Absolutely. One of the things that I do with it is called Tibetan reflexology, otherwise known as VitaFlex. And that was brought out by Stanley Burroughs in the 40s, I believe, or maybe even earlier, in his book, Healing for the Age of Enlightenment. Wonderful book. And his name is Stanley Burroughs. And he brought out 3 things for us. Remember, we were talking about all the gifts that are coming to us in this time that we're living in, of many different ancient practices. Well, he brought us the beginning studies of color therapy, of the Master Cleanse, which is the lemonade diet, and of VitaFlex, or Tibetan reflexology. So that book, Healing for the Age of Enlightenment, really has 3 chapters. And each chapter goes over his discoveries of these 3 healing modalities. And VitaFlex is a little bit different than reflexology, but the same thing, is working with the reflexes so that you're releasing neural pathways that have become blocked, opening up the energetics so that it's called vitality through the reflexes, or VitaFlex. And I do that on the spine, on the back. It's a roll and release technique. You know how, Felicia, you know how reflexology would be more of a pressure, but VitaFlex is roll and release, roll and release, roll and release. It's a different thing, but it's the same idea, reflexology.
Oh.
And Gary Young, when he was developing the raindrop technique, he got that from Stanley Burroughs. And now there's a disciple of Stanley Burroughs, Tom Woloshin, who goes around and teaches VitaFlex, very incredible VitaFlex weekends and deep studies into VitaFlex. If you ever bump into Tom Woloshin, Woolysn, Canadian guy, very good. I've taken his class, very good.
And that's W-O...
W-O-O, I'm going to probably get it wrong, but Woloshin, W-L-O-O-L-Y, L-O-Y-S-E-N, or something like that. But just type in VitaFlex, and you'll probably come up with Tom Woloshin. He teaches all over the place. Yeah, so VitaFlex is a very powerful thing. I always tell people, let's say you're in a cast, and I can't get, to your spine, and I want to put the essential oils on you to, work your systems, get balance to your systems. Well, I can work on your feet. And let's say I can't get at your feet, because now you've got casts on your feet or whatever. Well, I can work on your hands. Your hands has got the whole map of the body, the same thing. Here's the spine, the whole thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Just like the feet.
Just like the feet,
I was
just
under
like
the
the
impression
spine.
it was just the feet.
No. And what about your ears? If your ears are workable, I can do the whole thing just on your ear, every system of your body. What about your scalp? If I can't get anything else and I can get your scalp, I can work the whole body just on your scalp. I mean, it's amazing this body has so many maps. The vagus nerve, a whole nother map, you know?
It almost seems holographic.
Yeah, you want to work the brain, you can work the big thumb and the big toe. Do a little Vitaflex tweaking on the big toes and the thumb with some good peppermint essential oils and wake up your brain. Then go and study. Peppermint is a big friend of students because it awakens the brain. The Japanese have learned this since the 1940s. They've been putting essential oils in the air systems of their factories. Peppermint in the morning, they find something like 35% increased mental accuracy with peppermint essential oil inhaled. And then towards the end of the day, they'll introduce lavender to allow their workers to just get ready for slowing down, relaxing, and leaving work. So they've been using aromatherapy in the workplace for a long time to modulate, productivity. That's kind of neat because, student's best friend, it will definitely energize. If you're taking a long trip and you don't want a car trip and you don't want to fall asleep, put a cotton ball, put a couple drops of peppermint in the air ducts, and that will keep you awaken your brain. Some people, when they study, they smell the peppermint essential oil, and then they put a cotton ball with a couple drops of peppermint in a Ziploc bag, take it to the test site, and if they are lagging or forgetful, open up the bag, just have a sniff of the peppermint, and you get recall. It awakens the brain. So that's why it's called student's best friend.
Is there any research on that with any Alzheimer's or dementia?
Yes. I mean, I'm not going to say we can't say anything about particular diseases and essential oils, but anything that works with brain awakening, that helps with focus, helps with concentration, all of these essential oils would probably be a good idea in situations like that. But again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a practitioner, I can't talk about different conditions. I can just say, this particular oil would be very good to awaken the brain. And we can talk more about that when we're not in an FDA compliant modality. Oh, gosh. But we can do it. We can talk about the essential oils and how wonderful they are without being using language that is not compliant.
And for digestion, different digestive problems, are there essential oils for that, or is there like a way of applying those? Or
well, remember we were talking about peppermint?
Right. And
what's one of the things that when you have digestive complaints, people like to take peppermint tea, right?
Right.
And remember I told you 1 drop of the essential oil of peppermint is equal in value to 24 cups of herbal peppermint tea? 1 drop of peppermint essential oil. It's stunning. So, yes, there's an essential oil that is like a carminative. Is that the way you pronounce it? Carminative? Carminative? Means it's soothing and calming to the whole digestive system. And because I can't talk in medical terms, I often go to this book where they do talk in medical terms of peppermint and what it's good for.
How would you apply it? Would you just inhale it, or would you, apply it to your stomach, or what would be a suggested use?
Well, peppermint is one of the oils in the Vitality line in the company that I use, which means it's FDA approved for dietary use, which means you can cook with it, which means you can put it in a capsule and swallow it, which means you can take a drop on your hand and lick it, which means you could put it in some water and make a little tea out of it, and so on and so forth. It's approved by the FDA. If you want to Google essential oils approved by the FDA as dietary supplements, great, But please don't take any essential oil internally that is an off-the-shelf oil from a drugstore, from a health food store, from, Bed Bath & Beyond or Walmart. I mean, essential oils are sold everywhere. And you can get an essential oil for $2, no problem. But it's not an essential oil. It is whatever it is. But it is not a medicinal grade essential oil that can be used for the uses that this dictionary will tell you to use it for. And if you take it internally and it's adulterated with petrochemicals, which a lot of them are, then you're taking something that's actually dangerous for you. And essential oils that are true, there's very few dangers. Some dangers because there's some hot compounds like oregano, thyme, cinnamon. These oils are warming. They have compounds in them that can be, you can get a heat rash or something from it. So you usually like to dilute those with a fatty oil and not put them on. In the world of essential oils, we say neat, N-E-A-T. Neat means undiluted. So there's some essential oils you probably should definitely not use neat because they might be too warm for you. Like Thieves, the blend Thieves has cinnamon in it. It has clove in it. These are very warming oils. And, for me, I can't put it on my chest without diluting it because I have sensitive skin. Some people can. I always put it on my feet to boost my immune system because Thieves is called the essential oil antibiotic. It's one of the first things that I use if I feel like I'm coming down with something. It's the first thing I use in my diffuser to clean the air of airborne virus, bacteria, fungus, mold. Thieves is been studied for 99.9% kill rate against full spectrum bacteria in vitro, which means they just took those Petri dishes and they just diffused some Thieves over it. Didn't, spray it in it or anything, just diffused it over it. And whatever sample of virus, bacteria, fungus, mold was in the Petri dish was neutralized. So Thieves is your essential oil antibiotic. And it's something that you can use in many, many different forms. I can tell you all the different forms that I use it in to clean my house and I even have a toothpaste with it, and I have a mouthwash with it, and I have a household cleaner with it, and I have a spray with it, and I showed you the Thieves wipes that I use to wipe down everything when I came in the studio, right?
Is it also antifungal, especially mold, or antiviral?
Well, I can't use any word that says ANTI because those are words that can only be used by medical doctors. I can have the FDA come in and put me in prison. No, I'm just kidding. But it's a word I can't say. So would Melaleuca be good for treating any kind of overgrowth that you might get from public places where you pick up stuff from your feet and stuff like that? Well, if you do the research, Melaleuca would be a really good, or tea tree would be a really good choice. Thieves, for the different oils that are in it, would be a very good choice. But I'm not going to say that it's anti this or anti that. You understand? Although it is. But I'm not going to say it.
Although if there's a study, you could say if there was a study, just like with the bacterial...
right. What I usually say is Google it. Google Melaleuca and fungus.
Right.
Google Thieves and fungus. Yeah.
Right. Search engine it and...
go to the great guru Google, who knows all.
Actually, Google has been... some stuff they've been censoring.
Yes.
But maybe DuckDuckGo or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But
I don't know enough about DuckDuckGo. That's the browser where you're not going to get traced, right?
Right. And they probably don't. They're probably not. Since they're not tracing you, they're probably not profiling you and then giving you results based upon your previous searches and stuff like that.
Like the FDA will research all of the Facebook pages and all of your web pages, especially if you're an herbal company or even a representative of an herbal company, to see if there's anything non-compliant that you're saying with the anti or anything that's making claims, COVID, or anything that's related to, oh, this will help for this disease or this will help for that disease. They're scouring all the time. And you'll get calls, that say you're going to be shut down if you don't eliminate those words from your, whether it's your post or whether it's your website. So this is a very interesting time that we're living in, that you have copyrighted words that only medical doctors could use.
Huh.
Yeah.
And half the time they're wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, hundreds of thousands of people die each year in this country from being misprescribed pharmaceuticals by doctors in hospitals.
Yes, I mean, and we're so glad when we have our medical doctors to help us when we need them. And yes, I wish they had more training in nutrition and so on and so forth, because it'd be great if we could all work together within our specialties and not be closed-minded. But such is, when the American Medical Association first got started, the first thing they did was wipe out all the homeopathic hospitals.
Right.
Which were the medical model of the day, to be treated with homeopathic remedies in the hospital. And so that can't be patented. You can't make a big profit out of pillules, homeopathic pillules. So the first thing that the American Medical Association did was completely eradicate the homeopathic doctors. Of course, that whole campaign against chiropractors, which luckily turned out to be overturned. Well, I mean, it's just really challenging. And supplements that are banned in large doses in Canada, and they wanted to do the same thing here. Luckily, it didn't pass.
Right.
But the medical model, why do they have to feel threatened by the people's medicine? By the fact that we can create balance and we can do whatever we can to help ourselves. If we can't, we'll go to the medical model happily. But what if we can? Leave us alone and let us do what we can on our own to create balance, to improve our immune system, and so on and so forth.
Sometimes the outcomes are better using both.
Exactly. Integrative medicine.
Yes.
So,
and that's also something which we're seeing more of, thankfully, is integrative medicine.
Absolutely. Even in the hospitals. There's some wonderful hospitals that are having a whole places where people who are doing chemo or this or that can go for many different kinds of treatments. Reiki, acupuncture, massage, in the hospital.
Ah. And it's got to help, because it certainly has to be more interesting, even just from making a patient feel more cared for and something else to do instead of just lying in bed, trying to heal without any assistance.
Yeah.
And without anything natural, going in or on.
Yeah. Well, I have a whole big long list of things to help people who have to go into hospitals, because you have to really be on your top game to come out okay.
So maybe it's good for people to know how to contact you again.
Okay.
In case somebody's facing that, or if somebody's even going into the hospital for, I don't know, maybe a disease or anything like that.
Yeah, I can definitely help people. Let's say they're going off on a trip. These days, not many plane trips are happening, but I used to be able to help people who were going off on trips to make sure they had with them what they were going to need on the plane, in a new environment, to help their stomach, to help different protocols that would just help them stay healthy in maybe a stressful new environment, and especially when traveling. And also, as you know, one of my specialties is preparing for surgery. What do you need before you go into the hospital, when you're in the hospital, how many days are you going to be in the hospital? If it's only overnight, that's one thing. If it's otherwise, we have to prepare so that you come out of that hospital not more sick than when you came in. That's my concern. I want to make sure people don't walk out with stuff they didn't have when they came in.
Right.
That are mostly airborne and also by touch.
Right. There's a lot of surface problems in hospitals too. Yeah. Very good. So, what's the best way? Probably the best way is to go to your website first, and then people can know what to ask about, and then contact you.
Yeah,
at your email.
I love to get emails because then I can respond to you, and maybe we'll have a phone consultation. And my email is Joan Apter, A-P, as in Peter, T as in Tom, E-R, at earthlink.net. And my website is Apter, aromatherapy.com.
Very good. Thank you. And our number here is area code 845-679-9104. So if you want to call in with a question, feel free to do so. I could take the question off the air if you prefer, or on the air. And, of course, your question will be answered on the air. So once again, area code 845-679-9104. And while waiting for that, let's see, we had peppermint, we had black spruce oil.
Let's do a Valor balance. I haven't given you that blend Valor yet.
No.
Chiropractor in a bottle.
Oh.
Yeah, this is a really good one. Whenever I do a body work, I will start with the Valor balance on the bottom of the feet. And I'll start by pre-checking the alignment of the hips when they're on the table lying down, by pulling the legs and just seeing what the alignment of the heels are. Usually one heel is higher than the other. It just means that we have some subluxations. Everybody does. And then I'll put, well, I don't know about everybody, but most everybody does. And then I put like 3-4 drops of Valor on one hand, and they always say turn the oil clockwise a couple of times to augment the frequency, and slob it on the bottom of the right foot. Put 3 or 4 drops on the left hand, do those clockwise circles a couple of times, slob it on the bottom of the left foot, and then put right hand on right foot, left hand on left foot, and just hold. And let the electromagnetic frequency of Valor, remember I told you that the electromagnetic frequency of Valor is almost the same as the bones. The bones is something like 57, and Valor is like 55 megahertz.
Megahertz or hertz?
Hertz, sorry. And so you're just holding on the bottom of the feet and letting that circulation throughout the body go. Sometimes you'll notice maybe heat changes, maybe little electrical surges, maybe you'll see the person heave a deep sigh, whatever. You will know when the Valor balance is complete, couple of minutes. And then post-check and pull those feet out a little and check the alignment of the heels. And I'm saying 99.9% of the time, they're back square again. And I remember when we were first being taught this in a class, and I just was like stunned. I was like, how in the world can this essential oil called Valor align the spine? And the other thing it does is balance the electrical system. Well, that means your nerves. Can you imagine if we human beings could balance our nerves? I saw a Wednesday at the farmer's market, I saw 2 people, they practically went through the roof. If they had guns, there would have been shooting going on. They were just fried. They were yelling at each other. They were totally in a very dangerous place. And I thought, wow, if I could just get to them with a little lavender or a little Valor or something. Of course you can't because, whatever. But
just spray the whole place like Soma.
Yeah. But, yeah, exactly. But we can do that for ourselves. So one way to do a Valor balance, since it's not going to be our feet, is that we put a drop of Valor on our wrist, on our pulse point. Now you see how it's blue? You see it's a blue color?
Oh, yeah.
So that's the blue tansy that's in this blend. And blue means that there's this compound in it called azulene that's a blue color. Like even the vagus nerve, there's the corpus callosum that's there's a blue plexus point there.
Is that at the auricular area?
it's right in the center dent of the vagus nerve, right where that little dent is below your occipital ridge. There's a little dent.
Right.
So then you just put a drop on your pulse points and then just hold your pulses together. And let's just do it for a moment. I'm going to put some on your wrist, and you just kind of take some quiet time. Maybe a minute, 2 minutes, whatever you feel. You'll know. And then, keep breathing. Isn't that pretty? Blue color. Valor has spruce in it, frankincense, blue tansy. A lot of people like to wear it as their perfume. It's so beautiful.
It is pretty nice.
Isn't it? And just hold your pulses together and allow that frequency to align and balance your electrical system. That's what I do whenever I start to feel like I'm getting fried. And that's easy to do these days. I put on some Valor. Black spruce, camphor, blue tansy, frankincense, and geranium. This blend was formulated to balance energies and instill courage, confidence, and self-esteem. It helps the body self-correct its balance and alignment. Pretty amazing. So, when I first heard that, I asked Gary Young. I said, well, what's the deal with, how can it do that? It's an essential oil. And then he talked about the frequency of it and how it was similar to the bones and had the ability. I mean, for things like misalignment of the spine situations, I've seen amazing things happen with Valor. Beautiful. Now let's talk about some of the other things that we deal with on a daily life, like stress. If you were to think of the top things that would really improve our life in the world that we're living right now, I would say the nervous system is overloaded, our adrenals are overloaded, our fear. I mean, we're surrounded by the message of fear, and we have to keep ourselves separate from that message of fear. It's so insidious. You get Facebook posts, you get all these videos sent to you of this conspiracy and that conspiracy, and this is happening and that's happening, and if you go into that hole, you'll never get out. It's just where hope goes to die.
And it's listening to speeches last night.
Where hope goes to die when you listen to those speeches. I wouldn't listen to those speeches because I know what it's going to do to my frequency. I know what it's going to do.
But at the same time, can we build a firewall, like an intellectual and emotional firewall, so that we can observe stuff and yet not let it get to us too much?
Okay, you want to know...
Which is difficult.
You want to know the essential oil that's especially for that?
Is it called firewall?
It is. It's called White Angelica.
Oh, White Angelica.
It's the blend that I was talking to you about. Was it before we started? And I said I'm going to anoint myself with this before we start because it's a shield and armor of protection against negative energy inside and out. Bubble of grace. You have a memory when we did that?
Yeah.
In the very beginning?
Yes.
White Angelica, bubble of grace. So it's an angelic frequency that allows there to be a separation. Of course, for people who have clients, therapists, massage therapists, social workers, people who are working with people all the time. Anybody in a shop. I have a friend who owns a shop, and every day she posts about, you won't believe what this person said when they came into my shop today. You won't believe what happened to me today with this person. All these people come in, and, it gets to you. Next thing you know, you're feeling like calling someone a stupid idiot or something like that, and you don't want to go there. So you take out your White Angelica. We have a joke in the essential oil world, which is there's an oil for that, no matter what someone says, right? And you just said it, firewall.
Right.
And I'm going to say there's an essential oil for that, and here it is. Let's experience it. It's called White Angelica, and this has so many oils in it. If I read to you all the different oils, it'll go on forever. But it has bergamot, myrrh, geranium, sacred sandalwood, ylang-ylang, coriander, black spruce, melissa, hyssop, and rose. So, white angelica increases and strengthens the aura around the body to bring a renewed sense of strength and protection, creating a feeling of wholeness in the realm of one's own spirituality, which is what you were talking about. Staying in your own playing field. Don't get drawn out, right? In its frequency neutralizes negative energy and gives a feeling of security. All right, I'll have what he's having. Let's go. This is my perfume. In the old days when we could hug, people, I remember one time Rick Orlando at New World, he used to give these incredible Halloween parties, remember, where everybody dressed up. Did you ever go?
I didn't go to a dress-up party.
Yeah.
But I did go to that restaurant. It was great.
But the Halloween parties were so famous, in those days when he was giving out these incredible masks of feathers and so on. And he used to have this parade that would go in front of him with your costume, and then he would award prizes. So I thought one year, because he would always, pounded. He would always recognize me. And I said, no, this year he's not going to recognize me. And I had gloves on, I had a wig on, I had, everything covered, whatever. And I'm in the parade, and he goes, oh, hi, Joan. I go, Rick, how'd you know it was me? He said, I know you by your scent.
Ah.
I went, oh my gosh, what a compliment. And that's what it would be like.
That sounds like a movie, too.
I know you by your scent. It could be a good book for me, my autobiography. So here you go. Put out your hand, and I'll give you a drop. And rub your hands together. And...
Oh, it has a color, too. Almost like a greenish, like an olive kind of color.
This one has a little almond oil in it. It has a fatty oil in it.
Is that the one that I said it smells like there's an almond, or was that some other oil?
That was some other oil, and it actually didn't have any fatty oil in it, but you said it had a little smell of
like some sort
nuttiness
of nut oil
or something. Yeah. So now just do the angelic frequency. You don't have to even touch yourself. Just kind of, swish over your head, over your arms, down your legs. Just give yourself that feeling of putting on your armor, your protection. Don't forget to inhale it because it's so lovely. This is my favorite perfume. I wear it every day. And like I said, in the old days, if people hugged me, it would be pretty hard to get them to unhug. It would be like... And that's when I started calling myself a human diffuser. I said, okay, I'm not a human diffuser for more than a few minutes here. Come on. Get your own. So it's very interesting, the oils in this. Ylang-ylang is kind of like the yin-yang symbol. Ylang-ylang is a great balancer of male-female energies. So that's in white angelica. Geranium is many things. It's great for many things. Very good for your skin and so on. But it's also a liver cleanser. So one of the things about, remember we were talking about healing, is to release and let go of all that no longer serves you in a positive and progressive way. And liver is where you hold anger and resentment. So white angelica is also going to be a great influence in helping you to release old angers and resentments that no longer serve you, that might draw you out into this ping pong game of hate and fear. So we want to clean the liver, and geranium's a good one. Cleaning the liver is a good idea, ladies and gentlemen. The more influences we have to clean our liver, the better, because it does such a lot of work for us. It cleans our blood, it does so much for us, and it holds so much emotion. And that's why we want to treat it really nice, give it the herbs that it needs, give it the essential oils that it needs, give it the foods that it needs, and do that emotional release work. And the affirmation for that was what I just mentioned. I lovingly and willingly release and let go all that no longer serves me. And you can inhale while you're doing that affirmation. All that no longer serves me in a positive and progressive way. And I'm willing to release and let it go. No matter how attached I am to being right, no matter how attached I am to my opinion, no matter how attached I am to me, whatever, I'm willing. And there's another oil. in the emotional blends that's called surrender. That's a good one for our day and age. Release. There's an essential oil blend called release. There's an essential oil blend called forgiveness. And release and forgiveness go together, because you can't release old angers and resentments unless you forgive. I forgive myself and I forgive others for anything done knowingly or unknowingly, verbally, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or other. Okay? I release because, I shine that light of forgiveness. And then you can start moving towards cleaning it up. Without forgiveness, there is no release. So there's all these beautiful spiritual blends, and that's a whole nother show we'll do. I'll bring all the emotional release oils, and we'll do a whole protocol just with those. You'll love it.
It also sounds like a lot of these would be good for particular, like personal or even group rituals of doing different things. I mean, just like in rituals, people would use frankincense or myrrh, or burn other kinds of incense, sage. Is there anything that's sagey?
I don't think I brought the essential oil of sage with me. I have it. But I do have Palo Santo, which is used in ceremonies in Ecuador and Peru. It's Palo Santo means holy wood. And if you go into health food store, more like spiritual stores, like here in town, Mirabai would probably have it, or Dharmaware did in those days. Palo Santo is a wood that's used for smudge, much like sage in ceremony, to clean. Right? Smudge, the sage smudge is to clean and to purify and to prepare for ceremony when they smudge you off before a sweat lodge.
Right.
Then you're smudged with the sage and so on. If you get a new house, I always recommend, smudge every corner of the house, go outside and do the smudging all around the house, invite whatever energy you want to invite to leave, invite all the energies that you want to invite to enter. Smudging is a very beautiful and ancient practice, such as frankincense. Frankincense, the resin was always used as a smudge in the incense burner, and that came down into Roman Catholic and Greek Orthodox ceremony, ritual, where that frankincense resin is burned. And if you go for, like I like to go to the Roman Catholic Christmas service, because the whole room is just filled with the frankincense smoke, and you just get stoned out from breathing in all that frankincense.
Yeah.
For those that ritual, that ceremony came down from Egyptian days.
And possibly also from the Minoan civilizations in the Levant. Like in Iraq, Syria, places like that.
Where they used the smudge.
They had a lot of similar stuff there.
Yeah.
Egyptians and...
they cross-cultured with those kind of rituals. Oh, yes. Essential oils are perfect for ritual. I used to do rites of passage programs for youth and for women. And we always, whenever we went out into the wilderness for our solo, and it was for the adults, it was a 4-day, 4-night solo in the wilderness. And there's a moment where you cross the boundary into sacred space. And I would always have a ceremony of anointing with actually Palo Santo. Let's smell Palo Santo. See if you recognize it. So now this is the essential oil of that wood. Rub your hands together clockwise. Oh my goodness, I can smell it already. It almost smells like smoke in a way. What do you get?
Some of these are familiar, but I can't say from where.
Yeah. But sometimes when you go into these stores, they'll be burning Palo Santo. And this is a sacred ceremony oil, Palo Santo.
Yeah, maybe from those stores. Some of these are used in some perfumes too.
Yes.
Especially some of the more blended perfumes.
Mm-hmm.
you might have to go to a specialty store for.
Well, the problem with perfumes, again, is
they're adulterated,
yes,
and some of them are toxic.
Exactly. That's the problem with perfumes. I would suggest find yourself a pure
But I'm just
essential
saying,
oil company and choose a perfume of your choice.
Where I may have smelled it before.
I think so. Because this has almost like a myrrh, kind of a deep.
Yeah.
It does smell like a tree, but my mind always goes into the smudge because I'm so used to that smell of the smoke, especially in sweat lodges. I enjoy the sweat lodges that are here locally, and I don't know about the winter ones, but the other ones. So that's a good one. And we have not experienced joy yet. This is a beautiful blend with the essential oil of rose. Remember I talked about the frequency of rose? Highest frequency essential oil. And Joy is a blend that we nicknamed the affordable way to get rose in your kit because rose is super, super expensive. 6,000 pounds of rose petals.
Wow. That's
to make 1 pound, otherwise known as 1 cup, of the essential oil of rose.
Wow.
Now this has a lot of citruses in it too, and the citruses are all euphorics. So you got the high frequency of the rose, you got the citruses that are going to kind of make you up. Now, because you've layered so many oils on your hands, you're going to get all kinds of nice synergies. But can you still smell that joy on top? Isn't that sweet?
Yes.
Is it too sweet for you?
Nice rose petal.
Yeah, you like it? Some people find it a little too sweet. I love it, but it is a little on the sweet side.
And I'm still getting a lot of the, is it Pollo Santo?
Palo.
Palo Santo.
Which means holy wood. Let me read you from the dictionary.
Yeah. We have about 3 minutes, and we could go later, but then...
no, I think that's good. I think we're done. Okay. Let me just read joy. This beautiful blend produces a magnetic energy that brings joy to the heart, mind, and soul. It inspires romance and helps overcome deep-seated grief and depression. Remember I told you depression cannot live in the presence of rose. So if someone, they say that the beginning of the frequency of death, which has an actual frequency attached to it, I think it's 32, is the loss of hope. So when you see someone going down into that hole, and I know that very well because I've had that experience. I traveled overland to India. It took me 4 years. I got to the point where I had tried everything. I got to the point where I lost my hope. And at that point is where I met the solution that I was looking for. But I know what that's like to go into that rabbit hole. And if you see yourself or someone going down that rabbit hole, pulling out that joy, pulling out anything that has that essential oil of rose in it would probably be a really good idea. And you don't even have to put it on them. You can just put it on yourself and come near that person. But if they're willing, if they still have the desire to live, that's the question. Do you choose life or do you choose death? And we all have that time where we have to decide. Because we can decide, no, I think I'm going to slip out now. That's the time to make sure that person really wants to do it. And there's some essential oils that are really good for that. Melissa is one of them, and Melissa is in White Angelica. Melissa is called the oil of hope, the angel of hope. Put it on your tongue, and it can change things around where maybe you were headed in that direction of checking out. So I thank you so much. I think we've gotten to the point where we should say goodnight.
This was very good and very informative.
And again, if you want to contact me for any questions or to have a phone consultation, just contact me at Joan Apter at earthlink.net. And thank you so much, Felicia. I appreciate everything you do here at 104.1.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming here. And this was very good and uplifting time. Very informative, too. Is there any phone number like a business phone number?
I prefer not to give it out.
Okay, that's okay. And this has been the Woodstock Museum Show with special guest Joan Apter here in WIOFLP Woodstock 104.
The child of God, he was walking along the road when I asked him